Games, board games. I might be talking about board games, board games, but I'm not gonna shout. I'm going to today talk about chunking, which is a thing that can change your thinking and how you remember lots of things if you can chunk this little things into bigger groups and then remember them more easily. And chunking helps you get along more breezily. Chunking, chunking is what I'm talking about. Aiding your memory and grogging, and I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is, sure, it's 10 minutes late, but it's still approximately 10 a.m. UK time, time for Busy Beat and Board Game Leather. And, whoops, I need to, sorry about this. Look, let's just talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Um, Yesterday, playtested a couple of LDEC games with Alan and Charlie Paul. I made a change to Kingmaker. I, I I saw the board and I said, hey, that should be different. And Alan was like, hey, you know what? You're right. It should be different. And then now it's different. So I can say that I made a small change to Kingmaker. So hooray for me. That's exciting. Um, Went dancing. Yes, I went line dancing. It was lots of fun. And line dancing actually made me think about chunking. Because all the time there were so many people who, when the person said shuffle, they knew exactly what the dancer meant, what the caller meant. I had to work it out. When the caller said jazz box, that's a specific series of 4 steps. I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to work it out. I'm going to have to work out, okay, it's the right over the left, then the left backwards, and the right back, and then it's like I can't, I can't quite remember it. But once you do work this out, then you just say, okay, that's it. And then it's no longer a sequence of 4 steps or 8 steps or 2 steps or however many steps it is. It's just one word. And you remember it as one thing. And that's the key to what chunking is. Chunking means that there's multiple concepts that can be remembered as one. So, yeah, that's the main topic for today. And a quick hello to Josie. I hope you're generally well, and thank you for tuning in. I am so happy that I deleted and redid the Facebook thing, because normally if I'm 10 minutes late, then it's automatically deleted. Anyway, other recent highlights, just getting back, and the train actually took the amount of time that was meant to be. Got my bike fixed, so this is my bike, and that's why I'm a bit later than usual, because yeah, my bike had to be fixed, but now it's working again. Let's talk about dancing and how dancing is a brilliant thing. Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? I mean, dancing is a really great example of chunking. So if there's a little pressure on your arm, like if there's an arm that goes this way around, it's like, okay, that's telling me that I need to turn right. Or you know that the basic step is these series of 6 or 8 or however might be 10 steps if you're doing cha-cha-cha. But however many steps it is, there's a point where this is just the way it is. And chunking allows us to remember things. I don't need to remember, oh, there's a curvy letter with 2 hooks, and to draw an S, I need to draw this particular shape and then this particular shape with rotational symmetry underneath it. I just remember the S, and then I start chunking these letters into words, at which point I'm reading entire phenomes or words, which is just amazing. Let's talk about that with board games, right? So, because this is ostensibly a board game show. So let's say you're playing Magic the Gathering, and then there's a card that says target's opponent loses 3 life, you gain 5 life. Now, 3 and 5, those aren't the most complicated numbers. It's like, okay, they lose 3 life and I gain 5 life. But you have to remember 2 different effects. But imagine if instead it was target's opponent loses 4 life and you gain 4 life. Now, that might be a marginally stronger card, but from a pure memory perspective of can you remember this, then you think about that as drain life, especially if the card's text, if the name of the card was even written drain life, you would way more easily remember that. And if you can repeat numbers, then it's easier for people to be able to remember that. Maybe it even costs 4 mana, because everything costs resources, why not make it 4? And if I'm making a game about selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies, sure, there's going to be a variety of numbers because it's about working out which cards are best for which situations, and there needs to be a variety of numbers for there. But I made a choice that if something was maybe balanced at 6, I could just bump it up to 7. Sure, that might be a strong card if it gives you 7 points rather than 6, but it's not ridiculously overpowered. Similarly, if I was thinking of 8 or 9, bump it down to 7, and maybe people grab it less often. Maybe that means that when someone wins with it, they're super excited, and have fewer numbers so that, like, iconize things. It's and chunking. There's a reason why in Magic the Gathering, again, this is an insanely complicated game, which is why chunking is so important there. When they've got cards that are related to how many mana symbols you've got, it might be something like ocean. This is not a creature unless you have at least 8 black mana symbols amongst all your permanents, or this is not a creature unless you have at least 6 blue mana symbols amongst all your permanents, whatever. And these are similar bits of text, but then how do we remember them in our minds? Well, they decided that having a bit of flavor, calling it devotion, saying that this is your devotion to that color, is a way of remembering it, a way of internalizing it. And going one step further, sure, chunking can be enforced by good design, but it can also just be enforced by exposure. All the time, people forget how complicated things really are. I mean, all the time, you might know what a worker placement scheme is, but to someone who's just learning it, now they have to remember, okay, I put my little token here, and I get to choose any of these spaces, but I can't go on a space where someone else already is, okay. And if I go to the different spaces, then I get the benefit. And then if I've run out of pieces, then that's the end of my stuff. Like, if we're doing traditional worker placements, well, I say traditional, it's not exactly the first game that used it, but if we're using worker placements in the Agricola sense, so many gamers would know exactly what's going on, but so many newbies would not. By the same token, I heard talk about Seven Wonders or Sushi Go being a simple game. I mean, my gosh, Sushi Go is not a simple game. There's loads to learn, like about you pick the cards and then you draw one, and then now you've got one fewer, then you pass it to the person on the left. That pick and pass drafting, it is really elegant, it's lovely, and it's a delight. And I think that the score system, it does cover the basic gamut of what the game needs. It's brilliantly crafted, Phil Walker Harding, fantastic design. But Sushi Go is not the simplest game. Sushi Go is a game that people need to learn a little bit, let alone something more complex. And hello, Faranak, it is lovely to see you, and I hope you are generally well. This is just one of my very short streams from on the road, and you've caught me just as I start wrapping up. And so, I guess at this point, my question of the day, and hello to me, it is lovely to see you as well. Lots of love. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. So, my question of the day is, what is the last thing that confused you? What's the last time that you were confused by maybe an activity, you weren't sure what to do, you weren't sure, you got confused by the rules of a game, you felt it was a bit too much? I am going to say three, I'm going to say four small things. The last major thing that confused me was line dancing yesterday. Loads of new things to learn. The other thing that slightly confused me yesterday was finding out that a lot of trains were cancelled, but apparently one that I wanted to go on wasn't. That was, oh, what? Okay. Um, why is this cancelled? No explanation. Why is the other four in the evening all um, cancelled and this one not? No explanation. Um, The other thing that I'm going to say confused me is Usagi Yojimbo. It's a comic that I love, and I kind of wish that there was a clear bibliography on the back of them saying this is the book number 41 or whatever it is, just so that I can keep in my mind which book is which, because there's so many of them that it's hard to keep in my mind exactly which order. And for my birthday, I bought myself a present of The Tengu War by Usagi Yojimbo. I read it last night. It was a delightful book, but for the first few pages, I wasn't sure if I was reading an older book or a newer book. Yeah. So, what is the last thing that confused you? That is my question to you. Um, so, River Dusty says, right this very second, why won't Kiwi IRC connect to Inspire her IRCD? That sounds very technical. Yeah, tech stuff confuses me all the time as well. And hello to River. It is lovely to see you, River Dusty. To me says, this performance source control client confuses me. A lot of technological issues, it sounds like, and yeah, there's a reason why tech is kind of a thing that we have experts in. Farnak says, planning confuses me. I'm forgetful and forget my plans. That is totally fair. So, over to you. What you're up to, you can share button if you want to. As always, I am going to, well, as pretty much always on a Friday, I am at Waterloo. This is Waterloo. I have just crossed the bridge and I'm going to play test. I'm going to play test hopefully at least one, probably two or three of the LDEC contest games that I haven't already played, and I will try them out and make sure that I'm ready before everything, before, yeah, I whittle it down to the final five, which I'm going to do next month. There are some brilliant games. I played so many of them over the past week and a bit. And honestly, I'm super impressed by everyone. Anyone who's designed some games should be super proud of themselves because there's a matching game idea with an idea that I hadn't previously thought of that might ask the designer if they would be willing to work on a brand new design with me with that. There's an epic game called Questable. There's, yeah, a word game which is only for crossword enthusiasts, which feels a bit beyond me, called Cruciverbal, and yep, some trick-taking games and yep, some party games and speed. There's so much variety, and interestingly, there's no solo games. I wonder if that's a reaction to people now coming out of lockdown and being really excited to play games with other people so they don't want to make solo games. But I'm excited to play test. I'm having an evening meal with someone today to celebrate my birthday, and then tomorrow is going to be my birthday stream. I have no idea what I'll do, but I hope that whatever you are up to, you have a wonderful day. Josie says, I am now wondering about games where chunking could be used more as a mechanism. One, you have to remember line and line dancing. Dusty says, I came on Twitch to get away from stupid technology. I mean, there is a certain irony in that. Remember the chunking like in line dancing, I think Josie meant to say. But yes, so to recap and wrap up before we finish up, chunking is a great way to remember things. Terminology for more complex things, so we don't have to say the whole series of words. There's a reason why there's, rather than saying a game where there are no turns and people are all doing something at the same time, but it's not a sudden thing. You're not trying to be fast. It's just that you get to make your decision at the same time as everyone else. And then once you've done that, everyone reveals. You just say simultaneous action games. And that's so much faster. And then it allows us to think about these things at a higher level. It allows me as a designer to, now that I've decided, like on Wednesday when I talked about what an advantage token was about, and then we had new ideas for games because of just terminology allows us to do things. And by the same token, within a game, terminology allows us to learn the game. And only once you've learned the game can you then fully appreciate the strategy and a bit more of the joy of it. I mean, I believe that once if I had learned what the jazz box and things were, then I would enjoy the line dancing that tiny bit more. But yeah, for now, if you want to check me out, I'm obviously Stuff by Bez everywhere. Lots of love, and thank you so much. And for now, stuffbybez.com, Big Cartel, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much. Lots of love. And as always, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song to do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, everyone. Have a lovely day. Bye, bye, Timmy. Bye, bye, Josie. Bye, bye, Faradak. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm looking forward to having you on the show. Bye, bye, everyone. Bye, bye.